Hi, everyone. Welcome. I'm so excited to be here with our guest today, Ernesto Fernandez. But before we get started, I want to say a big thank you to Miami Community Newspapers for allowing this conversation to happen. We're here today to amplify the voices of small local businesses and the passion and the drive that goes behind it. Welcome. How are you today?
Thank you. Good morning.
Good
Great
morning.
to be here.
I'm so happy you're here.
Thank you.
It's been a long time.
It has.
It's been a very long time.
Very long time.
Yeah. So let's dive in.
Let's do it.
Tell me how this came about 27 years ago.
27 years ago. Amazed
Caffe
that
Vialetto.
we're still around. Yeah. So basically I worked at a really popular Italian restaurant, late 90s called Giacosa.
Okay.
And I had just gotten married. I was having my first daughter, which you know as well.
Right.
But I was having my daughter, and I just woke up one day and said, I need to do something for myself. You know, I can't keep working for everybody. I'm not going to be, I just wanted to give her a better life.
Okay.
So at that time, I was working with my current business partner, obviously Marcelo Chopa, and he was having his first child. So we kind of teamed up together and we said, let's do something, you know?
Right.
And we sure did. We opened up. We found this little pizza spot where we are, obviously on Burton Lejeune. And, you know, we bought it out. It was extremely inexpensive, thank God. We built it from the ground up for like 3 months every day. And we got going. And then that's the story. We got going and we were successful right from the get-go.
How did Caffe Vialetto, the name? How
well,
was
we
that
were
born?
looking at something with a theme, obviously, since we're probably, I think, the only restaurant in Miami where you're like in an alleyway.
Right.
So we were looking at different names that would work with it. And there was a couple different names, but they didn't sound great. And then we stumbled upon, I think it was actually Marcelo who stumbled upon Vialetto, which is those little, you know, in Assis, Italy, they have these little streets.
Okay.
And they're called Vialettos. And we obviously knew we wanted to do something like an trattoria side, very small, which was what it was, obviously.
Right.
We only had 30 seats when we opened.
Okay.
And so Caffe Vialetto had a really great, just a lot of charm to it and
Right.
whatnot.
It's a great name. Yeah.
So it worked. Yeah, it worked out. Yeah.
And it's a perfect setting for the spot that you're in now, where you've been for how long now?
Almost 27 years.
So that spot, you've been in the same spot in front of.
Same spot. 27, almost 27.
years.
March will be 27 years. Yeah.
That's incredible. So what was the original vision of the restaurant?
Well, I mean, we were young. We were 30 years old. You know, I think now it's a little different with, you know, the way kids are, you know, growing up in this world, you know, with social media and tech and all that. But in our day, you know, being 30 years old, you know, you were still pretty immature, right?
Right.
But what I always tell people is what we knew was what not to do. So we knew things that we shouldn't be doing.
That's a good compass.
Our main thing has always, and we still thrive on, is our customer service. It's
Right.
about the way we treat people.
Okay.
So at that time, our chef that we started with was an original owner with us at that time. And he was Dominican. And so we kind of wanted to do something Italian based, which is what we knew. But we wanted to do something more, you know, kind of like different and something that would make us stand out, which is why we came up with that, what you would say is an Italian based Latin Caribbean fusion. And we do Asian now, we do a little bit of everything. Through the years, everything has evolved. But yeah, so it's a concept like that. You know, we come up with, you know, our hogfish mango mojito, which everybody knows of.
Right.
Our tuna with our guava and things like that. So you have that Latin influence.
Okay, so it's been a Cuban and an Argentine Italian influence that has
I would
really
say. Absolutely.
cultivated that menu.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. And something different. We wanted to do something different that nobody else had, right? We wanted to stand out a little bit because there's so many Italian restaurants that do the same thing, right?
Right. So what's that one dish that people come back or that you offer? That one dish when somebody comes in for the first time and they say, you know, make a recommendation. What do you think I should be having
There's
today?
probably 3 dishes, right? So what happened is at some point, and I don't remember how long ago, we used to do ossobuco, right? Which is a traditional Italian dish. And then the product, you know, for us, it's about quality, right? So the product wasn't coming in the right way.
Okay.
And then Marcelo, my partner, being Argentinian, said, hey, we should try to do some short ribs.
Right.
And then we started doing our short ribs. So that's our number one dish. That's what people come for. It's our braised short rib. And then from there, you have extensions. So you have the pappardelle with the short rib and you have the risotto with the short rib.
The risotto, which is very popular too.
Very popular.
Right.
So that's the other thing I was getting at. So we're known for our risotto. And then now we mix up all our specials like our fishes with risotto.
Okay.
And then people love our pear ravioli. So I would probably say those 3 dishes, you know, with the hogfish, of course, because probably about 60% of our sales is fish. Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So from what I know, from what I've read, is 2 weeks into the business, you had 2 weeks into the business, you had a giant line piling up
Yes.
out the door. What happened then?
Very scary, right? So as a business owner, you're a young guy and you're starting to see all these people kind of like, 5:30, we're opening at 6, there's a line out the door and like, what are we going to do? How do we keep people here and, not turn them away?
Right.
So, and you probably never went there at that
Not
point.
at that point.
999, yeah, we were like just like you were still like in grade school at that point.
No, I don't know about that, but yeah.
Right, but the point is that we needed something to do, something, a gesture, something. So I think I may have come up with, I don't remember, but we started giving people wine. So
Right.
people would wait in this little hallway in
Uh-huh.
between 2 bathrooms,
Okay.
and they would just wait there for as long as they had to, thank God. And then we would just offer them wine. So it became like a thing where like, okay, you're gonna wait at Vialetto, you're gonna have wine while you wait.
Nice.
Yeah, and
Nice.
that's
So that was like the hook.
yeah. We just
Yeah.
you the thing is, as a business owner, and I think you just kind of like you're a chameleon, right? So you just kind of adjust
Exactly.
to every situation, and we had to adjust. We never thought
That's
when we
true.
opened that we'd have a line at the door. So like, so you say, okay, what are we gonna do? So you come up with
Right.
that, and you
Right.
just kind of like make it work where people feel comfortable, and people will say, hey, well, it's about these guys care, right?
Right.
So you have to care for your customers.
Exactly. Which is what is your primary belief, right? Customer
Absolutely.
service is
For us,
that's
it's
how
all
you
about
keep
that,
loyalty.
no
Right.
doubt. I mean, I think you can go eat pretty well anywhere in Miami, right?
Right.
Probably good to great, depending at times. But
Exactly.
I think, and I think it's happening now. Service is really suffering
Right.
in this industry,
Right.
especially
I
the high
actually
end.
sorry to
No,
interrupt,
no,
but
no.
I actually saw something on I think it was in Dade, Miami-Dade, the Instagram page
Right.
yesterday, where there was the screenshot was tipping. So it said for a local coffee shop, it said tipping mandatory. Don't be rude. And it said 30%, 40%, and 50% was mandatory. So that was like the question, like asking the population, what do you think about mandatory tipping? How do you feel about that, and how are your customers?
I don't have a problem with mandatory tipping. I mean, I'm in the industry, obviously. So, for example, we had a couple issues in obviously our 27 years. We've seen everything, right? So we had some issues at one time with a disgruntled employee, and then we had to hire, somebody to help us on the labor side. We had to do like a settlement, and it wasn't anything we were doing wrong. We just didn't know exactly how to do certain things, right? So
Uh-huh.
people will, bad people, unfortunately, will capitalize on certain situations. So my consultant, JR Consultants, he's amazing. He went ahead and put us into this thing called a overtime I-9 exemption.
Okay.
So it's something where it falls where as long as you charge 18%
Mm-hmm.
and you put it on your menu, and it's more not really a gratuity, but it's more like basically part of their wages. So it's a
Right.
wage for them.
Okay.
Even though my guys, do very well, thank God. But that protects you from an employee going out and filing a class action suit, which you never want to
Right.
have that situation because it could be the downfall of your business.
Right.
But getting into what I feel about it, to me, I have no problems if they put gratuity. My issue is that since some people, and you mentioned some, businesses will do that, but then the employees, since they know they're getting the tip,
Right.
don't care.
Right.
So then you're not being served properly. You're
Correct.
being
Which
ignored.
is
You're
going
not
back
being
to customer service, right?
and we're coming back to that. So
Right.
I have no problems as long as the service is good. I mean, I always
Right.
start at a high percentage because I'm in the business and I want to take care of people. But yeah, like I mentioned, it's really surprising how now it's like an entitlement thing.
Right. Right. Absolutely. So tell us about the 20 years, the ups and the downs,
Oh God.
how you've made it through, and highlights and those lowlights.
Yeah. So 20 years, obviously we opened, we were, really scared. We had no money when we opened up our business. My cousin did his birthday party there. I remember on March 1st,
Mm-hmm.
I'm very close to him, but he did his birthday party. And with that birthday party he did, it was a soft opening just for him that weekend. With that money, we were able to buy our first uh, shipments of our vendors. So Cisco for our first week.
Right.
And then we opened up, and within 2 weeks, it was just the word got around. And then we
Right.
were just extremely busy. We did incredibly well until the recession, right? So we said, listen, we it's time for us to we only have 30 seats. We're turning people away. People aren't waiting now because it's just too crazy. So we were able to, at that time, this gentleman, Mario Thatcher, who's amazing, thank him a lot for so many things, always said to me, "Hey, I'm going to sell the building. I'm going to give you the first opportunity." So we were able to buy the building, and then we were able to take over the space next door.
Okay.
And we built it out a bit. We never wanted to be too big, which we aren't. We only have 70 seats now. And then it was just crazy. I mean, till 2008, till the recession hit, business was amazing.
Right.
Then the recession hits. So
Right.
now you have, a bump in the road.
Exactly.
So you go from a certain amount of sales and you go down 50% from one day to the other. What do you do? So unfortunately, we had to lay some people off or tell them that obviously we couldn't, take care of them anymore. And then you kind of just, you figure it out, right? So, many things. You just work harder on service so people will keep coming back.
Right.
And then everything kind of balanced out. But during that time, I think a lot of more restaurants were opening up.
Right.
And then we did fairly well. And then my business partner sat me down one day and he says, "Listen, I think it's time for us to do something, kind of like really, we have to do a really like drastic change." And it was about, we got our liquor license. So in July of 17, we remodeled the restaurant. We redid the bar, which came out really nice. We modernized the place. We got our liquor license, and then it's been better, and then
Wonderful.
obviously everything was kind of like, stabilized and capped off, and then COVID hits.
Right.
So now you have another animal.
Right.
That's a big one.
Right.
COVID, drained us all, obviously. I'm sure you as well. So, restaurants weren't open. There was only outdoor dining. We had one of our customers that said, "Hey, listen, you need a tent outside. Let me build this awning for you."
Right.
Another customer who's in the audio business said, "I'm going to put speakers for you out
Right.
there. I'm going to make it, pleasant for everybody."
I remember that.
So people came out of the woodworks to help us,
Right.
our regulars. It was just this amazing gesture what they did for us, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then everything kind of normalized and came back to normal. And then everything started working out really well. But then I think people got used to eating at home, right? So
Right.
outdoor dining, as far as dining out became not as popular anymore.
Exactly.
People were like used to being at home and ordering from Uber or DoorDash or whatever it may be. And now we're just dealing with this whole social media craze.
Right.
And it's crazy because, restaurants like myself and many others who've been around for years, you're depending on word of mouth. You're depending on people that are going to say, "Hey, you should come to this place because they're going to treat you well." People now are, especially the younger generation, are really into what's popular, like what's in, and they don't care about the service of the food, right?
Exactly. So let me just tell you a little bit about how I've experienced the past couple years. I've really felt like an ebb and flow in our customers. Like I used to have customers. I've been in business for 11 years, coming up, which I consider myself.
Well, you should plug yourself a little bit, even though it's about me, but you should plug yourself.
But as I said, I think
Your
that
place is?
it's Raw South.
There you go.
South, the one and only.
There you go.
I think that what's happened to me is, and what I found is that I used to have customers that would come in every single day.
Yeah.
In the beginning, every single day. It was their place. Then after COVID, during COVID, they supported me like crazy. And then I've had the dip again. So it's been a regeneration of brand new customers, right? So for me, I'm not recycling my old customers, which a lot of them still do come. I'm having to regenerate brand new customers. I don't know if it's because of the competition. I don't know if it's because of just the market in general or what's happening.
What do you think it is? I could tell you what it is.
I honestly feel
what I think it is, right?
Tell me.
I just think it's real simple. Everything costs a lot more.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Oh, yeah.
We all go shopping. We see the prices on things.
Yeah.
So people that may go and have, your almonds are forever, which I've had, many dreams of, making love to almonds are forever and whatnot. It's so incredible. But with that being said, what's happening is that people are saying, well, you know what? I can buy strawberries and bananas and blueberries and kale and make something at home.
No, yeah. But I honestly feel, what I feel is that during the COVID period, the whole generation of the IG and the TikTok and the making food at home, right?
Right.
Really inspired people to become their own chefs.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So what happens to the lunch spot?
Yeah.
The lunch spot is kind of like dwindled and being really deleted unless you're out and about and you're wanting to do it. So my experience has been that, I'm generating new customers somehow, some way. and I'm using IG, right,
Mm.
to try to get them in. What are you using?
We use IG as well.
Okay.
It's our main platform, and Facebook, because with our major I think niche as far as our demographics, it's probably 40 and over, right? So I
Okay.
think a lot of them have also the Facebook platform. So we kind of like have them both together, and we're always posting every day. My business partner gets up early in the morning, he posts, and I will
Mm-hmm.
spend the rest of the day doing stories
Mm-hmm.
and whatnot. We looked into companies, and they all do their thing, and they're all great, but they're really expensive. So you're saying to yourself, well, how much do I have to really invest to kind of see some type of movement, right? Different movement.
Right.
But we've been be able to stabilize enough for what we're doing. I think that the major problem is that sadly enough, and if anybody in the commission in Coral Gables is listening to me, or anybody out there that could I've said for many years there has to be regulation, somewhat of a
Yeah.
regulation. Like, for example, let's just take your spot,
Mm-hmm.
fruit fruit shop, right? Juice shop.
Juice
Sorry.
bar.
Juice bar.
Uh-huh.
Okay, there can only be a certain amount of juice bars
Right.
in every county, say South
Right.
Miami, Coral Gables, they all. So there's an X amount where people are thriving. And then what you'll do is you get on a waiting list. And
Got it.
then when you fail because you didn't know what you were doing, or your service wasn't very good, or your product wasn't very good, then
Mhm.
you're next in line to get in. But now you see how
Yeah.
many,
When I started in
right, how many were
2014,
there?
were 0 acai locations. Nobody was serving acai.
And now there's
And
hundreds.
now I have one in a radius, like 10 in my radius,
There you go.
which is crazy.
Right.
So yeah, that definitely affects.
And it's not even competition, because I think you do great at what you do,
Oh
right?
yeah, yeah,
Your
absolutely,
product is
absolutely.
probably the best, I think.
Yeah.
When my daughters say it, right? They
Yeah.
think you're the best, but
No,
it's a saturation of market. So
exactly.
like my friend who Eduardo Bria, who owned this really amazing restaurant in uh, in Fort Lauderdale, which was my favorite place, an amazing chef. He sold off and went off years ago, but he would always tell me, it's like you have a piece of a pie, right? And then the pie is 12 pieces, then it becomes 18, then it becomes
Mhm.
36, then it becomes 72, and before you know it,
Yeah.
you're diluted in this situation.
I know.
So I think the main reason is, yes, it's basically become a monster of basically so many places to go to and so many options
Right.
that
People
know,
forget. They forget.
yeah, and top
They
of
do.
mind is
I think
important.
they forget. A
They
lot of
do.
people tell me, "Hey, oh
They
my
do.
God, I forgot that you were here. Oh, I haven't been
Yeah.
here in forever. I forgot." I'm like, they forgot us. They
That's
forgot us,
part of it.
which is crazy.
And I
right?
don't think they forget you. I think that they've tried out the other places
Yeah.
and they're not very good.
Yeah.
So they come back to you.
Yeah, but but in the meantime, right?
Right, but it happens to me all the time. Like, I'll have my customers come in and I'll say, "Hey, I haven't seen you in a while." I'm like, "Oh my God, Ernie, we wanted to come here a couple weeks ago, but then we were with our friends and they wanted to try this new
Okay.
place.
Uh-huh.
And oh my God, we went to this new place and no, it just
Right, right.
wasn't. And we should have gone to Vialetto." So
Right.
you're thinking that day they would have come, but they went somewhere else. We didn't have that problem, 15 years ago, right?
Right.
But it's part of life and you got to move on with it.
Yeah.
And there's
Yeah.
nothing we can do.
So I'm a solo proprietor, right?
Mhm.
And I consider it to be extremely hard to run a business,
Mhm.
especially a small business, because you have to be, your hands have to be in so many things.
Right.
You have to be the chef, you have to be the books, you have to be the marketing person, you have to be everybody.
Yeah.
How is it when you have a partner?
Well, I mean, the thing with me and my partner is that I think it starts with, respect, it starts with trust. I mean, when I'm not there, obviously we have kind of like a fireman schedule, right? So like I work 1 week on, 1 week off, kind of. So we do like 2 days and then we do 5 days. So that kind of gives you a little bit of a break to catch your breath and whatnot. But again, being a business owner,
Mm-hmm.
you're always doing something.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That's not gonna. But so we split up the work as evenly as we can. I'm the business side of Vialetto, so I run the books and I do things like that, make sure everything's in order. But there's always a situation that comes up on your days off. We close on Mondays now after COVID. We decided we're not going to open Mondays anymore
Oh, okay.
because what's happening is, and I think we'll touch on this, is labor. Right, labor
Right.
is just crazy.
Right.
So how do you control labor? You're not as busy as you used to be, so you got to cut down labor. So it's basically you're just figuring out the best formula to maximize what you have.
Right.
Basically, yeah.
Right. Totally. Tell me about the ups and downs, because I know there has to be ups and downs.
Yeah,
Like, do you consider what role do you take on, and what role does Marcelo Chopa take on?
Marcelo handles more day-to-day. Employees handles all, kind of like the liquor wine section of the business, and I handle the business side, right? So, I mean, and then but then again, everything changes. Like I may be on vacation, and he has to take the role of stepping up and doing payroll one week or whatnot. So, but I mean, it's basically after so many years, we have our formula down, and we're very old school.
Right.
We would still write handwritten checks. We don't do anything like. Even though I heard Margin Edge is amazing. I don't know if you heard of it, but they say it's great to control your inventory. Something called Margin Edge.
Okay.
But we're just old school. So basically, it's like first in, first out, because a lot of stuff we just order day to day or week to week. So we have our product come in and leave. Basically, so everything's fresh.
Right.
But we just handle it as best we can, and whatever tasks they are. Like I'll text him, hey, we need this for tomorrow, and he'll be like, I need this for tomorrow, and we just
communicate.
Yeah, communication's important.
Perfect.
So you just do it day to day as we go.
And who handles the employees? Is it a mutual?
Both of us do.
Okay.
We have a little bit of different styles. I'm a little more laid back. Marcelo's a little more kind of hands on, but the guys, I mean, most of my employees have been with me since I opened. I mean, I have 3 guys that have been with me since I opened, which is crazy.
That's amazing.
It is.
That's loyalty. Just like me. I have Maria, who's been with me since the beginning,
great.
which is amazing.
Yeah.
Maria and Yuli both.
And you need people like that.
Yeah, you really do.
That care.
People in your corner. Yeah, for sure. So what advice do you have for friends who want to open up a business together?
Business, I think you should, I think it depends a lot on, there's a lot of, sacrificing, right? So you have to, what I've learned in dealing with my business partner is that, we're very similar because we're both Tauruses. We're both born in May. We both have similarities, but then we're very different. He's a little more hot-headed than me, I think. But, we work around certain issues. So what I learned with him is I just kind of like, sometimes he does what he does and he does it his way. And I'm like, let it be his way. And when I'm around, I'll do things my way. And it's not something drastic. It's just like, even my chefs don't know what specials to put on when Marcelo's there. Don't know what specials to put on when I'm there. What I want to what I want to get, introduce to the, to our customers that week or whatnot.
Right.
But we always communicate.
That's wonderful.
Always just saying, hey, what do you think of this? And what do you think of that? So yeah.
Yeah, it has to be, if it's been 27 years, right? Communication has to have happened.
But you asked me the question, I didn't answer it. So the question basically would be, I think if you find somebody that you could work with, and you don't necessarily have to be best friends, but someone you think you'll work with that is going to be a plus to you and help you grow, it's great. I don't recommend anybody to open a restaurant nowadays. Do not open a restaurant.
Yeah.
But if that's your passion, right? So you do it, and see what happens. I mean, what are you going to do? You keep going.
So we just have a few minutes left, and I just want to ask you to tell your audience, those who are watching, why they should come over to Caffe Vialetto and experience your food and your service.
Well, I mean, it's real simple. I tell people all the time, people see me working and they'll like, who are you? I'm like, oh, I'm the owner. And like, oh my God, and you work here? And I'm like, yeah, I work my business. So I think that you're going to be coming to a place where you're going to be treated, like family by the owners. Right. And you're always going to get great quality food. Right. And you'll be treated well. My staff is great. So, I mean, it's just a matter of, I don't really try to tell people to come to my place. I just, when they're there, I always try to do the best I can so they'll return and they'll tell a friend or they'll tell a family member. Right. And, word of mouth, I think still works, right? Yeah. But I mean, if you want to have a great meal and be treated well, I think you should come to Caffe Vialetto, yeah. Okay. And then what's next for Caffe Vialetto? Right now, we're just on cruise control. We're looking to see what happens in the market and we'll figure it out. But right now, it's just a matter of maintaining what we have. And that's been 27 years strong, guys. Yeah, March. So with that being said, I just want to thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you for having me. And especially, I want to thank Miami Community Newspapers for allowing this conversation once again to take place. It's important for the community to know how important it is for the support to be given, right, to small businesses, because we're there every day giving it our all. And I think it's important that we share our stories. Absolutely. Because they're here to tell. So thank you so much. Thank you, Miami Community Newspapers, and we'll see you soon. Thank you. Peace out.